Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Forged Youth. I'm editor Kyle. Today's episode is another Forged Youth Q&A. These types of episodes will continue throughout the season, so if you have questions of your own you'd like to share, please send them in. We'd love to hear from you. And now, on to today's show.
Today, editor Kyle and I are side by side. It rarely happens because he lives in a different province now. But we really wanted to have he's in town. So first of all, thank you for coming over.
Thank you for hosting.
But we really wanted to have a conversation specific to volleyball because that's Kyle and I's sport. And we know that across the United States right now that a lot of tryouts for volleyball either have happened or are like currently happening, and they're just around the corner in Canada. And there's a lot of questions and comments and concerns about tryouts and playing time and just how things work in the volleyball world. And yeah, Kyle, I mean, I coached senior high boys volleyball for like 7 years, and that was my like coaching time. It was great. But Kyle, you've actually you've gone above and beyond with coaching. What's your coaching experience?
My first real experience was I coached a high school team back in Kamloops after I finished my last year of school, or well, I was in my last year of school at university, and I had no experience at the time really for actually physically taking on a team, and that's kind of where I got my feet wet, where I kind of jumped in, and I had some people that helped along the way to make that first year a little bit easier. But I really enjoyed the experience. It was a great group of girls, and when I later moved back home to the Lower Mainland, I got started with coaching in a club that my parents started. I coached a 16U girls team and did a couple different age groups with that, and then ended up coaching at a university, the one, well, locally to where we are now in Abbotsford at UFE. Spent 5 years coaching there, along with coaching club at the same time in one that was local here. And yeah, I kind of after that I'm continued to coach club and have kind of been doing it ever since, doing more and more private coaching as well now
Mhm.
because that's something that's become more and more popular for kids to want to get into. So yeah, coaching's been really good to me, and it's been an experience I've thoroughly enjoyed along the way. So
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. The whole like private coaching piece. I don't remember that really being a thing when we were
it
young and playing.
it
Like it just
wasn't.
wasn't a thing. It was just unheard of that somebody would take like private sessions with a coach to do that. It was like if you wanted the extra reps, you would get together at lunch and play volleyball and get the reps in yourself, or like
Yeah.
go to a rec league or something like that just to get the extra in. And so that's one of the differences that I've noticed. And like for all of you listening, I quite honestly, I've been out of the volleyball world for a fair amount of time now. And it's really interesting, even just before we started recording, Kyle was sharing with me some of the differences that have like come into the game since we were playing back in the day. And one of the pieces is one that I'm sure that we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about today, and that's playing time. Like you just told me that there's something now called fair play.
Yeah. In depending on which province you're in, different provinces, at least in Canada, have rules that are in place to allow for more kids to have the opportunity to be on the floor at the younger age group. So 13, U13, U14, and in some provinces U15, they allow for a fair play rule. So 13, 14 is like full fair play. So if you have 12 kids on the team, six are on for set number one, a complete new six are on the court for set number two. So it encourages the ability to allow more opportunities for kids to get onto the floor, And in some ways, it also takes the element of the coach having that control of, where time when me and you played, where it's like this is the six or seven that are going to play all the time, and the other ones are going to be support and
Mhm.
not maybe get the same level of opportunity. So the changes in those rules have allowed for more kids to have the opportunity to get onto the floor um, at those younger age groups. In the long run, the hope is that we're developing more players and we're developing more, competitive teams because of that and just creating overall better volleyball when those kids are getting, to that 16-year level where then it shifts and it's back to kind of regular volleyball. There's no fair play anymore.
Right. Now it's an interesting concept to me. Call me old school, everybody, and you may or may not agree with me, but I think that what you learn as a player, having to show up to practice and work your ass off and like earn that playing time is something that is like a life skill and lesson. And, and I mean, I had to do it. Like I didn't just go on the starting lineup right away. I did my time
Yeah.
showing up to practice and just like looking at the starting lineup with total envy and just, but it drove me to do what we were talking before, show up before school and play at lunches and go play in a rec league. And like, it really made me and my work ethic and like pursuit of getting on that lineup so much greater.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. While I can understand that it is nice, to be able to have that playing time and you are learning other things when you're on the floor, like playing under pressure and like all that kind of stuff. It's just an interesting thought for me as an old school player to have these rules in place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you on it too. I mean, having been in it for a while, I can see and understand both sides.
Hmm.
There's definitely a benefit to getting kids the opportunity to play more. It takes pressure off the coaches. The pricing that kids are paying to play club. Parents want to see their kids on the floor when they're paying for their kids to play,
Hmm.
right? Like that's where they are seeing the value. And I get that. You have to be able to appreciate that in
Yeah.
some way
Yeah.
because they're paying top dollar. Clubs
Yeah.
gotten expensive. All sports are expensive now for
Yeah.
that kind of level. But um I think in some part of me agrees with your aspect too, which is that, yeah, there should be a reason to want to be motivated to earn that time. I think where it's a big struggle is that you don't get a chance to develop different roles on teams. Whereas, like, we know that volleyball has a lot of different roles. Sometimes you're a person who comes in and serves. You're a serving sub and you play that back row, and that can be a very big role on a team.
Hmm.
And that's what you do at university. Sometimes you might play, my first 2 years of playing, I served and I played through the back row in games. That was like my role. That was my job. That's what I came in to do to kind of relieve some pressure or give somebody a break or just change the game for a couple points. And sometimes that, was a big part of the game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's something that doesn't get developed as much, at least until the kids are at a 16U level. So I find having coached more of the older age groups, you're having to teach a lot of that
Right.
because it's just not something they were learning younger, right? Because
Hmm.
you're not even with that fair play at 13 and 14, you're not even allowed to make substitutions,
That
right?
just
So
blows my
I don't know. So it's a part that it's a strategy even as a
yeah.
coach that you is like
Yes.
taken away from you
Yeah.
to do. So, and again, there's good and bad to it because, maybe a kid is not comfortable serving or they're not at a level where they're getting their serve over consistently. And sometimes they don't even want to be out there to serve. They would rather be able to say, "Can somebody sub for me so that I can
Hmm.
serve," because they don't want to miss and have that failure. Right. So again, there's so many different ways to view it.
Hmm.
And again, having been in it and seen it in all different ways, I can understand all the different directions, but I think there's give and take to all different sides. Like
Oh yeah.
like your brain is running around with right now. So
It's just, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Well, and we could keep talking about this forever. because there's so many things even in what you said too. And that is that, you know, as parents, what we are spectators. We're watching our kids play. We're watching the sport. And so we measure success and we measure value by what we can like tangibly see our kid playing time, a gold medal, like whatever that is, right? But it's an interesting exercise to actually pause and see what else your kid is getting from the sport more than just the skill of the sport itself or the playing time, right? And it's like what value is being a part of club volleyball bringing to my kid? And it's commitment, it's dedication, it's work ethic, it's teamwork, it's leadership skills, it's friendships. It's like all of these crazy things that actually surpass sport and just go into life and become life skills rather than just being focused on are they playing? Because after the sport ends, is the fact that they just got playing time, does it matter in life? Not really. Right. And so when you look at it from that aspect, like me as a parent, I have a kid. I have a parent. I was going to say I have a parent. Well, I also have a parent, but I have a kid, and I am old school in the way that, like, if she didn't play because she didn't earn it, then that's okay. Like, I'm just whatever, right? But her being a part of all those teams and playing, I see that what I'm actually paying for is her getting all of those skills that I know that are setting her up for like succeeding in life rather than just in the sport.
Yeah.
So I think that while it's hard for us as parents to measure some of those things because they're not super tangible, it's also really good for us to be able to acknowledge that they're there and they exist because it also relieves a lot of pressure off of us, off of our players and the coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, that was my little rant, everybody.
Mariel parent rant.
But Kyle and I thought it would be a really cool idea to actually go in a Facebook group that we're involved in called Volleyball Moms and just to scroll through some of the comments in there because parents are asking questions or they have comments or concerns about tryouts, about playing time, about the difference between club and school and like all of this stuff. And so, yeah, we just wanted to read some of these comments out and then talk about them a little bit.
Sounds good.
Okay. Is that the first one we're gonna do?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you gotta read it because I'm sitting too far away and I'm not wearing my glasses.
You want me to go get them?
I will read the second half of it if
Okay,
you want.
that's okay. Okay, so this is from an anonymous person. The name of the Facebook group was
Volleyball Mums.
yes. So if you want to check that out, it's on Facebook. My daughter didn't make the JV volleyball team at her high school. We are devastated. She's a freshman and has dedicated the past 3 years to improving her game. She even quit dance to focus fully on volleyball. She played club, attended camps, and was a starter on her middle school team. So this came as a shock. This is the parent speaking. I'm struggling to understand what went wrong, and my biggest question now is what do we do moving forward? Do we continue investing in club and training with the risk that she might not make the high school team again? Our main goal has always been for her to be part of a sport in high school on top of the fact that she truly loves the game. Right now, we're just frustrated and unsure of the next steps.
Okay. First of all, like totally valid there, mama. Like when our kids don't make the team and all this effort and intention and all that kind of stuff, of course there's emotions and of course there's concerns and like frustration and all that kind of stuff. So very valid and honestly, thanks for bringing it to the attention because now there's 129 comments on it showing that you are not alone.
True.
Right? So Kyle, like from your perspective, from like wearing your coaching hat, what do you think would be the next, like she's just not sure of what the next steps are, right?
Right.
What would
Uh,
you say to this?
I mean, the tough thing about, I would say, just to start, is that the tough thing about high school is that sometimes you can be competing with so many different girls or so many different kids, girls or boys, where the competition for some of those programs can be incredibly high. And sometimes you might even just be in an area where you live where the school volleyball is just so good, more competitive and even better than some of the clubs that you might be a part of, because that's just where a lot of strong volleyball is. And unfortunately, there are always going to be girls or boys that are left off good high school teams where their kids are good enough to be there, but there's just not enough room for their
Mhm.
kids to make those teams. Um, it's one of the reasons that club has continued to grow the way that it has, and even more, we're talking about private training, but there's been more and more opportunities to be able to do volleyball outside of high school
Mm.
because, volleyball in high school is one small little snippet of that, or of the sport. I think the challenge for this mom is that she sees a lot of value in a high school sport and being involved in the school and being part of that community. And I think that to me is the part that's hitting her harder, is that her daughter's not going to be part of the school team and the environment and the social aspect of being part of the high school. And that's really difficult if that's something that the parent is looking for. But, the question is like, what does her daughter really want out of it? Is it to be part of that social? Because I mean, one of the recommendations I would say is if she's not making the team, but she still wants to be a part of it in some way, like, could you go to the coach and ask and say, hey, can I practice?
That was
Can
literally
I,
what I was gonna say.
I stole it from you. I'm sorry. But at any level, there's nothing wrong with asking those questions and being like, how can I be a part of it? How can I contribute in some way? And to me, good coaches will find a way to either provide a role if it's possible, or
Mhm.
hopefully give you some positive direction as
Yeah,
as well.
I agree with that. And that's so funny. That was my first instinct when I read this was, well, just go ask if you can practice with him. It's always nice to have an extra body in a practice.
Yeah,
Like as a coach, it's nice to have that extra body there, and as players or, anything like that. And I mean, it's not a guarantee that the coach is going to say yes or anything like that,
yeah,
but it does put the player in that position where they are still there. They're a part of the community, they're a part of the team in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just for practices, and they're getting those extra touches. And I mean, even I did this, like, because we were saying, like, back in the day, private coaching wasn't a thing. So I went to the boys' volleyball team and I was like, can I come practice with you guys? And he was like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, okay. So then I went to the boys' practices, I went to the girls' practices, I went and played in rec league, right? Because this mom is also talking about her love for the sport. Okay, that's amazing. At the end of the day, isn't that what we want for our kids to be totally in love with something that is putting them in a healthy lifestyle and teaching them things?
yeah,
So, how cool is that your kid loves a sport and there are so many different opportunities for her to continue to play, like you said, club, camps, right? These are all things that still have her in the mix, in the sport, contributing and learning.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, this is a bit of a different direction, but it's still a way to think about keeping your kids involved in the sport, is that, you know, would she want to ref? Would she want to
Hmm.
volunteer her time to be part of the game day staff for maybe the games? Or, hey, if it's not working out to be able to be involved in the high school team, like, is there a local university team or college team that, maybe you could ask to just volunteer and be a part of that community, or go to those games in some way to just submerge yourself into the sport, because from the comment, is it solely about being able to physically play, or is it about like building and being a part of some kind of community with volleyball because of what she loves about the sport? Or maybe she's, getting into, volunteering to coach, like helping
Hmm.
out with younger kids. some way, different ways to stay involved with the sport.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's interesting too because this this commenter, poster person,
Anonymous member.
anonymous member, she wrote, "Our main goal has always been for her to be a part of a sport in high school." Why? Like, what is the deep reason why? I think that's a great goal, especially if your kid ends up being the one that really likes sport. It would be shitty to have, pardon me, crappy to have that goal and then have somebody that actually just isn't sporty and doesn't want to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
But if you have an athletic kid and you have that goal for them, well, like, why do you have that goal for them? What are the things that you are wanting your kid to get out of that? And okay, when you break that down, then are can they also get those things from playing club? From just, like you said, being involved in some way in the sport or going to practices or whatever that is, right? So it's just an interesting thing to kind of like to break it down. Hey there. Quick pause to say thank you. If you're listening right now, you're already a part of something powerful. We're here to help young athletes and their families build grit, resilience, and purpose, and your support makes that possible. Did you know that over half of podcast listeners never hit follow? That one click actually helps us grow, get bigger, and reach more people who need to hear this. So if you're enjoying this episode, please hit follow or subscribe. It's free, it takes a second, and it really does mean the world to us. Now, back to the show. Okay, there's another anonymous member said, "I've noticed, at least from what my daughters have told me, is that different girls try out for school than club. And also the ones that try out for both try out for different positions. So that, what is she saying? Oh, so she's commenting that maybe that's why people are not seeing how some girls make school ball and some don't." And then she goes on to say, "I also think that they take into consideration other things like running, whereas club has never made my daughter run as a part of tryouts." That would be nice. I ran with it for everything. I hate running and I had to run for everything. But this is an interesting piece. Like, let's talk about what is the difference between high school and club and the fact that maybe not volleyball's not specific to girls. Pardon us, okay? That athletes are playing one position in high school and then one position in club.
Um, I mean, usually for high school, there can be more limitations to just not having the variety available in
Mm-hmm.
tryouts. You know, you're almost an example of that where maybe you didn't want to be a middle per
Mm-hmm.
se, and you would have preferred to be an outside, but there was maybe nobody else on your
Yeah.
high school team that could play the middle position.
Yeah, no
So
one was tall enough.
right, they put you there. Our height differences are not shown in the video in case you're watching. We're you're just all legs,
I
let's be
am.
honest.
I am all like,
But sometimes you don't get the same opportunity to choose in high school as you do in club because in club you're going out to a tryout, maybe even specifically trying out for the position that you want. You know, there is an element to going out to the tryout and wanting the position, but then maybe the club is suggesting for you to try something different because they really like you, but they've maybe got three or four other girls at that other position. So they're almost deciding to take you based on what your willingness is to play elsewhere,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, sometimes you don't get the choice. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you're headstrong and you're like, I'm a left side and that's the only position that I'm going to play. And then the reality might be, well, you're not good enough for this team. You're going to make this team, or you don't make this team because you're not willing to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, it boils down to if you want to play volleyball and have more of a chance to do the sport longer and longer and longer, the best thing you can do is to just remain open to
Mm-hmm.
playing in every scenario that the coach might be willing to try you in. Because
Mm-hmm.
if post-secondary is an option or something you're considering, that's exactly what those coaches are going to want. That's exactly what they're going to ask you because maybe they see you playing as a middle in club, but they see, a potential of like, hey, I think this we could teach this person to pass and be a better all-around player,
Yeah.
and they could be an outside hitter. And you might not even have that in your brain
Yeah.
to think to want to do that. But the moment you are open to it or hear somebody else suggest it, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that sounds like fun. I could play post and secondary and do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that, sometimes coaches see things that we don't, exactly kind of what you said, right? Yeah, and it's just good to be a flexible player. Like it makes you a diverse athlete, and that's what coaches are looking for. Are players that yes, sure they can excel in one position maybe over the next, but also can I actually utilize this player in other areas as well? And it's interesting, like in my collegiate years, the majority of the time I did play middle, but every once in a while I would get put in as a right side, and there was two games where I actually got to set because our setter hurt herself. That was so fun. It was so fun. I love setting, but it was really fun to be able to get into a different position and try new things and just be able to also, as a flexible player, it's pretty cool to know that your coach knows that they can rely on you to just say, yep, and go in. Because at the end of the day, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if a coach knows that they have a player that can handle whatever is thrown at them with a good attitude and they will always get on the floor and do their best, like that means you're going to have more opportunities than everybody else.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, the whole concept you're describing circles back to what we said about roles and learning roles
Mm-hmm.
in those younger ages. And, if you don't learn what those roles mean, then it's harder to see what it looks like and to be able to understand what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best stories that I can tell kids about roles is so simple. It's like kid goes in, makes their serve, makes one defensive play. We win that rally, and everybody is pumped for the person who came in
Mm-hmm.
to fill that role for 1 point,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it can
Change the whole
change the
game.
whole game. It can provide
Yeah.
momentum in a way that you'd never expect. And sometimes you have kids that do that, that their sole purpose is to come in with positive energy and
Yes.
change the makeup on the floor. And that's all you're looking for.
Yes.
And that's what the girls or the boys or your team is looking for in those situations as well. Like, hey, you know, girl one or boy two is coming in to provide this
Mm-hmm.
emotional boost of energy to hopefully change the game and get us back on track.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I have an example of that. I had a player on the team, the high school boys team that I coached for 3 years. And he was not the best player. He really wasn't. Like, he wasn't super coordinated. He wasn't like, it was a public school, and I got the mixed match of athletes that just came to play volleyball because it was the first sport that happened in the school year, right? So I had soccer players, football players, like basketball, like all these things. But this one guy, he could serve. He had this weird serve that it was really hard to pass, and like he couldn't really do too much else.
Right.
But he had an amazing attitude and everybody just loved him. Like he just really had team spirit. And so he was my secret weapon. And I would, exactly what you're saying, I would sub him in and he would go back and the other team would be like, oh, somebody's coming off the bench, like whatever. And he would get like two, three serves in a row, kind of a thing, and get the team totally pumped up. And then I'd sub him out when his serving was done. And he was so happy to be a part of the team. He made points at pivotal times. Like
Yeah.
it was really strategic and he had an important role in the team. But he wasn't a starter. He wasn't a starter, but he was very important.
Yeah. That's all you can ask for.
Right? Yeah. Talking about the volleyball day. It brings me back.
This is again another anonymous person, but basically describing that their daughter made varsity as a junior, but the coach pulled her aside and said that she got the spot because of hard work, positive attitude, and teamwork and knowledge of every position and rotation. However, she will not have a spot in the lineup for the games because she doesn't have a specialty.
Oh, okay. So she's wondering what to tell her daughter because her daughter doesn't get on the starting lineup, but she is that reliable player that can kind of play every position that we were just talking about. That sounds like, hey?
Right. Which to me, I think to me, it just comes down to what the coach can continue to communicate or what the athlete can even go to ask the coach to
Mhm.
get clarification on what does this mean or what can I maybe do to get more opportunity. Um, you know, it sounds to me like her daughter's in that, maybe 10 to 12 range for, not it sounds bad to say the bottom end of the roster, but
Mhm.
sometimes that is really true.
Yeah,
And they're trying to find a way for the role to be
the top.
in the top
Yeah.
and what they should do to get there. Um, I think again, because it's different for every team you're going to play for and every coach that you have as well. Like if you want to know, you have to ask and see what you can do or what else you can try to contribute. Because as much as coaches might not always say it because it's not always topic of mind, it's usually something they're always looking for. They just might not say it right away because the thought isn't fully formed yet, right? And they're waiting for maybe even that spark of the kid coming to ask to say what else could I do? What is next for me there to broaden my role
Yeah.
even.
And I think an important piece of what you just said is that the athlete goes to the coach,
Mhm.
not the parent.
Correct.
Parents, listen. I know it's difficult, and I know your kid probably doesn't want to go and talk to the coach because it's a big, scary thing. But how amazing that they are learning how to use their own voice, advocate for themselves, and ask for what they want or ask for guidance on how to get what they want. Like, that is such a powerful freaking life lesson right there that every time that we as parents go to talk to coaches, we take that learning opportunity away from our kids without even thinking. Like, we're not thinking that we're taking something away from them. We're thinking that, oh, that's a big scary thing and we're going to make it easy because we care about our kids and, we don't want to make our kids uncomfortable. But that's a really important piece. And from the coach's perspective, I am going to hear an athlete way better than a parent. Like, if an athlete comes to talk to me about playing time, about how they can improve, about kind of what I'm seeing and, more opportunities for them. I am going to have so much respect for that athlete because number one, I know it's difficult to go and talk to a coach. I used to do it. And a kid to an adult, there's a power dynamic there, right? And so that right there is like I have respect for you coming to talk to me about that. And that is a really huge thing. Whereas if a parent is coming to talk to me about it, it is a little bit trying to think of the word. I don't even know. It's a little bit like demanding sometimes and not taken in the best way. I don't know. Maybe it's just my experiences with some of the parents that have come to talk to me. That's not probably like I'm not painting every parent with a brush like that. That's for sure. But I just know that that conversation is definitely better heard from an athlete than a parent.
What in your experience with it, would you encourage the parent to be present for the conversation, but not the one to voice their opinion? Or would you rather it
No?
just be the athlete?
You know what the perfect thing for parents to do in this situation is, this is going to sound funny, but it's true, role play with your kid about how to have the conversation. Like, just be like, I know it's scary, but this is really important for you. And so why don't we just practice? I'm the coach. What are you going to say to me? And have that conversation a couple of times at home or in the car, right? Or like whatever, right? Practice that conversation so that they kind of have a handle on what to say and what maybe an adult might say back to them and all of that kind of stuff. And then a big part of parenting elite athletes, high achieving youth altogether, is actually like empowering and enabling them by letting go. And so that's a part of it. It's like, I will role play it with you. I will enable you and empower you to go and do this.
Right.
Yeah. Because then, too, as an athlete, if I get more playing time because I went to go talk to the coach and I put in the effort to do what they said and, like all that kind of stuff, and it added up to me getting playing time versus my parent went to go talk to them and now all of a sudden I'm getting playing time. What's going to make me feel more empowered and confident in myself? Right?
Yeah.
And also, that can fuck for mess up. That can mess up team dynamics,
Yeah.
right? If somebody's all of a sudden getting playing time because their mom went to the coach and the
Messes up
team knows
parent
it,
dynamics too,
right?
because
And so it
then,
just really
yeah,
throws this, proverbial stick in the spoke of the tire.
it's true.
So parents, like really, I challenge and invite you to really empower your athletes to be the ones that use their voice to ask and to like bring up things to coaches. It's a really cool thing too to see somebody who is like timid all of a sudden find their voice and their shoulders go back a little bit more, and they walk a little taller because they now know that they don't need their mom to do it for them.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool transformation.
It's something you're going to use later in life too. So
Yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah, totally. So I think that's enough of the comments and the questions on the Facebook group, but I have a question for you as a coach is like, what are you looking for in players as you are building a team and you're at tryouts looking at these players? Like, what are you looking for?
I mean, I think you're looking for a bit of the whole package.
Hmm.
You know, you want kids that are going to have a good attitude. You want kids that are good to their teammates. They're good to you as a coach. They're respectful to everybody else that's there. To me, those are pieces that stick out a lot. When you're running drills and tryouts and you're asking for somebody to do something they're maybe not as comfortable with or used to doing, that you're the one who maybe volunteers. Um, you know, uh, you want to be memorable in those tryouts, in those
Hmm.
situations. The same way that if you're trying to get a job and you're interviewing, you want to have a bit of a memorable interview to help, give you the best chance to get a call back or to get another
Hmm.
chance or to be like, hey, I remember the girl in the yellow shirt. She did this, this, and this really, really well.
Hmm.
And in some ways it's also just being open to trying new things, open to because sometimes at tryouts there's an opportunity to give feedback. Coaches will give feedback as a
Hmm.
way to see how an athlete will receive that criticism or that opportunity to get better or to try something new, and some kids dust it off, some don't even listen,
Yeah.
and that's can be the good and the bad of it as a coach when you're asking those questions and you're seeing what you're getting out of that athlete, because if they want to take you on their team, they want to know what it's like to ask those questions to an athlete and then see how their response is. Because if you are asking and you're not getting a good response or their reaction is poor, there's not as much of a reason to maybe want to work with those athletes, because coaches want to work with athletes who are willing to, you know, to take different steps and to grow as athletes and grow as people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would agree. I love that answer. And you know what's interesting is that Kyle didn't say skill. It's just, you didn't say skills.
no.
And yet, all of these parents, so many parents, are focusing on skills specific things. They're getting the private training for skills. They're talking about, all of these different skill related things. And yet here we have a coach, and I am a coach as well. Of course, we just said high school, whatever, right? And I know many coaches, and I would say that 99% of them would agree with every single thing that you just said. Because at the end of the day, those are the most important things about a player. Skill is something that you can hone in on and teach throughout the season. But like values and how a person carries themselves, that's a little harder to teach in a season.
Yeah. And I mean, the reality is that when it comes to skills, depending on the level you're coaching at and what type of team you're building in a club or a high school scenario, is that you're looking for something that you see potential in.
Mm-hmm.
And the skill that you see in a tryout, sometimes it's blatantly obvious
Mm-hmm.
that that person's got a lot of skill. And sometimes it's, I see it. They just need to
Yeah.
develop that
Women's
skill.
rough.
Yeah. Or you see it as being something that's, comparable to a different athlete you've coached before, but like, I think I can get them to the level that I got, the girl to last year in the
Mm-hmm.
previous team. And, those are things that you're seeing as a coach. There's always going to be athletes that stick out because of their skill.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Yeah.
you want to stick out in a different way, your attitude, your mentality, everything about, the way you are how you carry yourself as an athlete can be something that you can, pride yourself on as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too comes down to like the mental toughness and training and emotional regulation. And, do you mess up and like take it super hard and get super angry and, or are you curious about it and like, okay, that happened this time. How can I switch it next time? And yeah, it's a lot about how you carry yourself as a person. So, take all of you listening to this, like take that into consideration when you're kind of coming through tryouts. Maybe your kid didn't make the team or anything like that. It's like, okay, but what did your kid learn from all of this that isn't skills related? And going into tryouts, it's like, yes, your skills, you're going to go there and do the best that you can, but also how are you going to show up and let all those other traits really shine so your coach knows that you are coachable, that you are a team player, that you are flexible, that you are like all of these different things that are equally, well, even more so vital. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but that's probably good. Kyle, thanks for hanging out today and doing this.
It was great to do it in person.
Yeah, totally.
We'll plan it more often.
Oh man. Okay, well, everybody, until next time, train your mind, build your grit, and forge your legacy.
You've been listening to Forged Youth. New episodes drop every week, so if this hits home for you, throw us a follow and subscribe. Forged Youth, where resilience is trained.